Hi, Jim Sammons here. You know, when you're live bait fishing, there is so many different options in styles of hooks. But when it comes right down to it, what you're for the most part looking at is J hook versus circle hook. So I'm going to kind of go over why I prefer to use one versus the other and the situations where I will prefer to use one versus the other. For the most part, I am a circle hook guy. I've never been a big hook setter, which is important when using a circle hook. So it was really easy for me to start using circle hooks. The beauty of a circle hook is that for the most part, they will hook a fish right in the corner of the mouth. The way they are designed is, and I can show you right here, is say if this was the fish's mouth and it sucks down a bait with that hook on it, as I pull it out, you can see it just kind of looped right there on the corner of the mouth. I'll be honest with you, a lot of times you'll get a circle hook in the corner of a fish's mouth and it's not actually through any flesh at all. It's just kind of locked into the corner of their mouth. So the key though, I went a little bit fast there. So if you're a real big hook setter and that fish eats it and you set it really hard, you have the chance of pulling the hook out of his mouth. So with the circle hook, you got to be a little bit slower. You got to let the rod load up and just let it do its thing. So that's why I like to use circle hooks. The downside to using a circle hook sometimes, if you hook your bait through the nose, because of that curve, when that thing's in its nose, if the hook slides around at all, it then kind of twists itself and it'll actually end up in the side of your bait's head, and then your bait starts spinning. And if it starts spinning, then your bait dies, and dead bait doesn't work. That's where having a J hook works a lot better. So if I've got some baits that I want to nose hook, oftentimes now I'll use a smaller one than this, or I'll use a J hook like this for a very large bait. But the J hook versus the circle hook, and you can see the two side by side, the tip of the circle hook comes in, where the hook on the tip of the J hook goes straight down. Like I said, for the most part, I like using these, particularly if I'm hooking the bait at the back of the head. I'll use a 6/0, 7/0, 8/0, 10/0. You know, the real big circle hooks if I'm putting it at the back of the head or if I am bridling a bait. So I use a J hook if I'm nose hooking, particularly with the smaller baits and smaller hooks, and then the circle hook if I'm going to the back of the head. The thing is, when you're hooking on the back of the head, you do have to use a bigger bait or a bigger hook, because you need to span the distance of their back so you have some hook exposure. If you don't have any hook exposure, you won't hook up even if a fish hits it. That's where it's nice. If you got really big baits, that's where you really want to start and look at bridling the bait. Well, I hope you learned something from that little video. Give us a thumbs up if you liked it, and make sure you subscribe to Kayak Fishing Tales.